Most people walk around every single day getting hit by the economy. Prices going up, jobs disappearing, loans getting harder to get, and they have absolutely no idea why any of it is happening. But a caveman figured it out. And today, Caveman is going to explain the whole thing. From zero. No fancy words. No boring charts. Just rocks, berries, and a creature who learned about interest rates the hard way. There are 8 things that make the economy work. Learn all 8 and nothing about money will ever feel confusing again. Number 1. What the economy actually is. Okay, Caveman wake up one day in cave. Caveman hungry. Caveman has rocks. Neighbor has berries. Neighbor want rocks. So Caveman trade rocks for berries. Neighbor trade berries for rocks. Both walk away happy. That, right there, that is the economy. At its most basic level, the economy is just a system of buying and selling. People have things. Other people want those things. They trade. Money is just the tool that makes trading easier. So nobody has to carry around a pile of rocks. According to FutureLearn, an economy is a complex web of production and consumption that determines how resources and capital are allocated. But in caveman terms, it is just everyone trading stuff with everyone else, all at the same time, every single day. There are 3 main players in this game. First, there are households. That is regular people, families, anyone buying things to live. Second, there are businesses, the ones making and selling things. Third, there is the government, the one collecting taxes, making rules, and trying to keep things from falling apart. These 3 groups are always talking to each other, even when they do not know it. When a person buys a sandwich, they are paying a business. That business pays workers. Those workers pay taxes. The government uses those taxes to build roads. The roads let more businesses open. More businesses means more sandwiches. The whole thing goes in circles. That is the economy. But, and here is where it gets interesting, this circle does not always spin smoothly. Sometimes it spins too fast. Sometimes it slows down. And when it gets out of balance, everybody feels it. Therefore, understanding what makes it speed up and slow down is the whole point. That is what the rest of this list is about. Number 2, supply and demand. Caveman go to berry market. Lots of berries everywhere. Caveman not care much. Berries cheap. Next week, big storm wipe out all berry trees. Now only one guy has berries. Suddenly, everyone want that guy's berries. Price go way up. That is supply and demand. And it controls basically everything about how the economy works. Supply is how much of something is available. Demand is how many people want it. When supply is high and demand is low, prices drop. When supply is low and demand is high, prices shoot up. The price is basically just a signal. It tells everyone in the economy how scarce something is. This works for groceries. It works for houses. It works for jobs. It works for money itself. When a lot of people want the same thing at the same time, and there is not enough to go around, prices rise. That is just the market adjusting. It is not anyone being mean. It is just math. But here is where things get tricky. When prices get too high, people stop buying. Businesses start losing money. They make less stuff. Then supply drops even more. Prices go even higher. Or the opposite happens. Too many companies make the same thing. There is way more supply than people want. Prices crash. Businesses lose money. Some close down. Workers lose jobs. Therefore, supply and demand is not just about one product. When prices shift in one place, it can shake the whole system. Like pulling one rock out of a pile and watching the others move. Number 3. Money and why it matters. Caveman tired of carrying rocks everywhere. Rocks heavy. Rocks hard to split in half when he need change. So the tribe decide, everyone use small shiny coin instead. Coin represent value. Coin easy to carry. Coin easy to split up. That is what money is. Money has three jobs. First, it is a medium of exchange, meaning people use it to trade instead of hauling actual stuff around. Second, it is a unit of account, meaning everyone uses it to measure how much things are worth. Third, it is a store of value, meaning people can save it and use it later. Without money, every trade would need to be a barter deal. The person who makes shoes would have to find someone who makes food and also wants shoes. Every single time. That would be a nightmare. But money only works if people trust it. If everyone stopped believing the dollar had value, it would stop having value. This is not hypothetical. It has happened in other countries throughout history when governments printed too much money and people lost trust in the currency. Therefore, keeping money trustworthy is one of the most important things in any economy. And the group responsible for that in the United States? That is the Federal Reserve. More on them in a minute. Number 4. GDP, the economy's report card. Caveman tribe grow. More people. More trading. More stuff being made. How does the tribe chief know if things are going good or bad? He count everything the tribe made and sold in one whole year. That number tells him whether the tribe is growing or shrinking. That is GDP. Gross domestic product. GDP is the total value of all goods and services made inside a country in 1 year. It is the economy's report card. When GDP goes up, the economy is growing. More stuff is being made, more money is being spent, more jobs exist. When GDP goes down, things are slowing down. According to research from economic institutions, GDP growth in the US was running between 2.5 and 3% per year before the pandemic. That is considered healthy, steady growth without going too fast. Why does going too fast matter? Because when the economy grows too quickly, prices start rising faster than people's wages can keep up. That leads to the next problem on this list. But, and this is critical, GDP alone does not tell the whole story. A country could have great GDP numbers while half its people are struggling. That is because GDP measures how much is being made and sold. It does not automatically measure whether that wealth is spread out fairly. Therefore, economists also look at unemployment numbers, wage growth, and other signs to get the full picture of how an economy is actually doing. Number 5. Inflation. When prices eat your lunch. Caveman remember when one fish cost 2 rocks? Now same fish cost 10 rocks. Caveman not get more rocks. Fish just cost more. Caveman confused. Caveman angry. That is inflation. Inflation is when prices go up over time, and each dollar buys less than it used to. A small amount of inflation, around 2% a year according to the Federal Reserve, is actually normal and even healthy. It means the economy is moving, people are spending, businesses are growing. But when inflation gets too high, it is a real problem. According to research from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, the U.S. personal consumption expenditures inflation rate peaked at around 7.2% in June 2022. That is more than 3 times the normal target. Prices on groceries, gas, and housing jumped hard, and most people's paychecks did not go up fast enough to keep up. So why does inflation happen? 2 main reasons. First, demand goes too high. When people have a lot of money and want to spend it, businesses raise prices because they can. Too many dollars chasing too few products. Second, supply gets squeezed. If there are problems making or shipping things, like what happened during the pandemic when global supply chains broke down, there is less stuff available. Prices go up because supply cannot meet demand. Therefore, controlling inflation is one of the biggest jobs in any economy. And the main tool for doing that is interest rates. Number 6. Interest rates. The economy's volume knob. Caveman want to build bigger cave. But caveman do not have enough rocks. So caveman borrow rocks from the cave bank. Cave bank says, you give back 10 rocks plus 1 extra rock when you are done. That extra rock, that is interest. Interest rates are the cost of borrowing money. and they are one of the most powerful tools in the whole economy. In the United States, the Federal Reserve, which is basically the country's central bank, sets something called the federal funds rate. This rate affects what banks charge each other to borrow money overnight. And from there, it flows into everything: mortgages, car loans, credit cards, business loans. Here is how the volume knob works. When the Fed lowers interest rates, borrowing becomes cheaper. People take out more loans. Businesses build more stuff. People buy more homes and cars. The economy speeds up. But when the economy is going too fast and prices are rising too quick, like during that 7.2% inflation spike, the Fed raises interest rates to slow things down. Borrowing gets more expensive. People spend less. Businesses slow down. Prices stop rising as fast. According to the Federal Reserve's own data, between March 2022 and July 2023, the Fed raised its rate by 5.25 percentage points over 11 meetings, one of the fastest rate increases in modern history, specifically to bring inflation back down. Therefore, interest rates are like the economy's volume knob. Too low and things overheat. Too high and things freeze up. Getting it right is genuinely hard, and even the best economists get it wrong sometimes. Number 7. Debt and the business cycle. Caveman borrow berries in winter, pay back berries in summer. This is fine. Controlled debt helps Caveman grow. But what if Caveman borrow 10 times more than he can ever pay back? That is when things go bad. Debt is not inherently evil. According to economists, a controlled level of debt in an economy can actually trigger growth. Businesses borrow to expand. Families borrow to buy homes. Governments borrow to build roads and schools. When that debt is manageable and the money gets invested in things that grow, everyone benefits. But uncontrolled debt is a different story. The 2008 financial crisis is the most well-known example. Banks lent enormous amounts of money to people who could not realistically pay it back, mostly through mortgage loans. When those loans started failing, the whole system buckled. Banks stopped lending. Businesses could not get money. Jobs disappeared by the millions. This connects to something called the business cycle, the pattern of the economy expanding and contracting over time. There are 4 phases. First, there is growth. The economy is expanding, jobs are up, spending is up. Second, there is the peak. Things are going great, but prices start rising too fast. Third, there is recession. Things slow down hard, spending drops, unemployment rises. Fourth, there is the bottom. Things stop getting worse and start to recover. Every economy goes through these cycles. They are normal. The goal is not to eliminate them. It is to make the bad parts less painful and the good parts last longer. Therefore, how a government and central bank manage debt and interest rates during each phase determines how bad or how good the ride gets for everyday people. Number 8. The government's role. The economy's rule setter. Caveman tribe have chief. Chief does not trade berries. Chief does not build tools. But Chief makes rules. Chief makes sure nobody steals. Chief builds the bridge so everyone can get to the market. Without Chief, the market breaks down. Everyone fights. No one trades. That is the government's role in the economy. Governments do several things to keep the economy running. First, they collect taxes from people and from businesses and use that money to pay for roads, schools, hospitals, and defense. Second, they make rules. Regulations that stop businesses from doing dangerous or dishonest things that hurt everyone. Third, they spend money on purpose to boost the economy when it slows down. That last one is called fiscal policy. When a recession hits and spending drops, the government can step in and spend more money itself to keep things moving. It builds bridges, hires workers, sends out payments. The idea is to keep money flowing through the system when private businesses and people have pulled back. But government spending has limits. When the government spends more than it collects in taxes, It runs a deficit. It borrows money, usually by selling bonds, to cover the gap. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the U.S. deficit in recent years has been running in the trillions of dollars annually. Too much debt piled up over time can become a problem of its own, making it harder for the government to respond to future crises. Therefore, finding the balance between stimulating the economy when needed and not taking on so much debt that it causes new problems down the road is one of the trickiest balancing acts in all of economics. This is why economists argue constantly, not because they are wrong, but because the right answer actually depends on the specific situation, the timing, and 100 other moving pieces. Here is the truth that took Caveman 10 years and several badly negotiated berry deals to understand. The economy is not some mysterious creature that happens to regular people. It is regular people. Trading, spending, saving, borrowing, and the rules and systems built around those actions. Every price at the grocery store, every job that exists or does not exist, every mortgage rate, every price of gas, all of it is connected back to supply and demand, to inflation, to interest rates, to government choices, and to millions of tiny decisions made by regular people every single day. When one part shifts, everything else adjusts, always. And now that the 8 pieces are understood, what the economy is, supply and demand, money, GDP, inflation, interest rates, debt, and the government's role. Nothing about a news headline about the Fed or a price hike or a recession has to feel confusing or random ever again. Caveman understand now. So does everyone watching this. With that said, see you on the next video.